No way! Yeah! Thank you. Number one, boys, throw it out.
Ecstatic. It was a 30-lap race, that's for sure. I started even backing off a little bit. The water was getting pretty nasty, and we had a bit of a gap in between each other. I was happy with third, but I saw Jonas start breaking down, and then Stark was having an issue, and I just held it wide open around the outside, and there we were. So when I got out of the water, Scott Gilman actually told me, he says, you're the first UIM rookie to win a race, so that's crazy. And then obviously the only Canadian to win a UIM F1 race is the next level too. So yeah, I'll be going home super happy. I'm happy for the whole Sharjah team, Crystal Clear, and the Natural Seal team, and couldn't ask for anything more. Storybook finish.
Yeah! I should have known better. That's what happens when you win your first prize.
15 minutes around as we have 13 drivers out there ready to move on. They hope to get to the top 6. This is the all-important qualification here on Friday. This will determine the starting lineup for the Grand Prix on Sunday. So,
Steve, it's all about getting out there. I saw Bartek first out on the circuit. Get out there early. The water's very, very flat at the moment. Make sure you've got a bit of space ahead of you. There's no traffic going to slow you down. And if you can get post a good time right at the beginning, I think that's going to help you move into the top 6.
Yeah, Bartek Marzowiak last year had the pole and got his first career victory. Finished 6th in the championship with 22 points as we watch the rest of the drivers slowly making their way back out onto the race circuit. And once they get around the last driver off, as you take a look at Bartek, there he is, the driver from Warsaw in Poland. He's got a great sponsorship package with Orlan, and he does a lot of work for them promoting the brand in Poland.
Yeah, he does. I mean, they do a lot of shows, marketing Orlen. They're not only involved in Formula One boat racing, they're involved in Formula One car racing as well. And no, he's a great ambassador for Poland and for the oil company, the national oil company that sponsor him at all these events.
As you watch him circle around, just getting himself situated, probably putting yourself into thoughts. Now, Jonathan, when you were out here and you were just moments away from qualifying and you got about a lap or two to get yourself situated, what are you thinking about? What's going through your head? What's going to make it go right for you?
Well, first of all, obviously, it's all about reading the water. And that's going to play a big part in that, because these boats have over the years have become shorter and shorter and wider and wider. Now that means that they accelerate like Billio, But the problem is when the conditions get a little bit rough, they're quite difficult to handle on the water. And once they get into the rough water, you can lose a second or two a lap because you're fighting the boat all the way around. But if you can get clear water, get time out there early on, then there's no question about it. They are so fast, some of these leading boats. And as we pick up the Victory boat there, a team that used to make their own boats, but now they're back with the DAC factory in Italy's making their boats for them at the moment. I do hear that they're starting to make boats again in the near future, but they're running very, very strong here today with Eric Stark, the Swedish driver.
Eric Stark, who has come back, he was missing for about 3 or 4 years. He came back last year, finished second in this championship, had 50 points on the campaign, did not win. His last victory was in Sharjah in 2018 when he was fighting Torrente for the title. As we see, they start to pick the pace up a little bit. And we wait to start the timer here for these drivers. There you can see Peter Morin, the driver out of France, in that number 7 machine. Of course, that's a famous number with three-time world champion Philippe Shep, who had the boat, and then he turned it over to his ex-son-in-law, Peter Morin.
Steve, Bartek Marcelak there, I mentioned him. He got out there early. He knows that he can post a good time in the flat water. Clear water ahead of him for this entire lap. If he needs to put in a good lap to move into the top 6, now is when he needs to do it, because I do not believe, as we pick up Bartek there, I do not believe, Steve, we're gonna get such clear water, but all of a sudden he's backed off. So
they haven't dropped the
dropped
the green flag. Remember, they said they're going to go around 2 laps.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Guys are warming up and getting their adrenaline flowing here. They got to get back into the game. Their head's starting to focus in on the job at hand here. Now Bartek Marczewak in full flight. You can see him coming around the final corner, turn number 9, heading down toward the green flag as we are set to start the clock and count down from the 15-minute mark, Jonathan, and we're underway.
Bartek there, let's pick him up. We got the green flag out. Still fairly clear water ahead of him as he fights. Ooh, could see another boat there impeding his progress as he tried to turn through number 2. It was very, very close between those two drivers.
It was one of the Sharjah team boats that he had to kind of circumnavigate around. Bartek Marczewak. Used to call him Bartek Marzalak, and as all his buddies said, yeah, it's not the way he pronounced his name, but keep calling him that. They love it. So he looked at me and he goes, hey, you're not saying the right thing, but you know what? All my friends like it, so you can call me that. I go, well, okay. And since then, I've never done that.
Yeah. So. And from the way I saw him coming through turn number 1 and 2, when that other boat was sort of trying to get through on the inside of him, I'd say that he's probably lining up for another lap. But as we speak, the water's definitely getting a little bit rougher out there. It's not that rough, but enough to scrub maybe 1/2 to 1 second off a lap.
On your screen, down toward the far end of the race course, coming up onto turn number 8, there you see Jonas Andersson, who is the defending world champion, as Bartek slaps down the first fast time with a 106.134. And Jonas Andersson, who has 4 straight pole positions, along with 4 straight wins. Nobody has done that in this sport, Jonathan, since 2001. That's 22 years ago was the last time anybody won 4 in a row. That was Guido Capellini when he won back in those days. Now, 4 different drivers have done 4 or more in this 40-year history of the sport. Molinari in the first year, Scott Gilman, Guido Capellini 3 different times, and then, of course, Jonas Andersson last year doing it. So it's not easy to win 4 in a row.
Peter Moran running a little bit better than he did in free practice this morning. He's posted a 105. Jonas now in second. Stefan Aram, the young driver, the new addition that we have this year, running with Team Vietnam, doing a great job out there at the moment, Steve. Just behind Jonas by a split second, with Thani in 4th, Bartek in 5th, and the British driver Ben Jelf in 6th as we speak.
As we watch Bartek Marczewak, the defending winner of this race a year ago, he goes off the screen. He continues to stay fighting to get up into the top 6. That's where you got to finish to move on to Q3, and then they'll battle for pole position. So Bartek, who won this race a year ago, like we talked about, however, didn't score another point, Jonathan, until he got a 9th place performance in Sharjah. And Rusty Wyatt. Guess what? The Canadian went back to number 1 again, Jonathan. What is going on with this kid from Ontario?
How about that, Steve? 104, so he's about a half a second ahead of Moran as we speak, with Jonas still in third and Stefan around in fourth. So, wow, Rusty Wyatt really coming alive out here today.
Scott Gilman's got to be very happy with his North American driver, putting himself up into the number 1 spot early on. He's done that in the first 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So, yeah, obviously he must have talked to him and said, don't do this. Do this.
I said to him, how did so how did this all come about with Rusty Wyatt? And he said, well, people kept telling me he was a good driver in America. He was very capable. Alex Letton was obviously does play quite a big part in tuning the engines for that team. Was very, very complimentary of his driving in the US, and he felt that he could put on a good show. Wow, Steve.
Oh, Peter Moran teetering on the edge of disaster, almost sent that skyward. Look at this. He saved it at the last minute as somehow he was able to trim the boat back down to earth, or in the water, at least to say, other than taking off like an airplane. Wow, that was exciting. It doesn't help your speed, though, Jonathan, at all.
No, you're dead right. I mean, it's great to watch, but he probably lost about a half a second there. Basically over-trimming the boat, coming out of the corner, being really anxious to get that boat to accelerate, and just over-trimming it. So what happens is, if you can get the boat with the last inch of the boat in the water floating on top, but unfortunately he didn't even have that on the water. It looked like a low-flying aircraft as he made his way around the circuit, picking up the number.
Jonas Anderson, the world champion, jumps to number 1, Jonathan, with a 104.396. So the wily veteran from